under 7 minutes to go. Finds Khalil Shahir over the middle, who breaks the tackle of Minkah Fitzpatrick, absolutely breaks down another member of the Steelers secondary, and finds his way to the end zone. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. I'm your host, Frank Rampin, and let's dive into Super Wildcard Weekend, as that just wrapped up last night on Monday. Today is Tuesday, January 16th, I Believe. Super Wildcard Weekend just wrapped up. We had 2 games on Saturday, only 2 games on Sunday because of the schedule change. I have it on Sunday. The Bills-Steelers game at 1 o'clock that was supposed to be 1 o'clock on Sunday got moved to Monday at 4:30. So Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, all 3 of those days, 3 in a row, a game at 4:30 and a game at 8:20. Middle or 4 o'clock game and 8 o'clock game for the last 3 days. So pretty good for the NFL week that there was 2 games for 3 games in a row. It worked out pretty well, but it was weird not having an early game on Sunday morning. But nevertheless, the Super Wildcard Weekend has come to an end. We know our divisional matchups now. Let's get into our weekly recap and discuss all of the action that got down over the last 3 days. So the first game of Super Wildcard Weekend was the Texans and the Browns. C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans were able to handily defeat them by a score of 45-14. Huge offensive numbers put up by the Texans and C.J. Stroud to take down the Cleveland Browns and Joe Flacco. The Chiefs defeat the Dolphins in the 4th coldest game in the history of the NFL, 26-7. The Green Bay Packers absolutely rolled the Dallas Cowboys. In Jerry's world, they won 48-32. The score's a little bit misrepresentative of the actual game there, as at one point it was 48-16 Pack. The Lions took down their old friend Matthew Stafford and the Rams 24-23 in our only close game of Wildcard Weekend, really. The Bills took down the Steelers 31-17, and the Bucs absolutely destroyed the Philadelphia Eagles last night. I believe the final score was 32-9. In Super Wildcard Weekend, home teams went 5-1. The only team that won on the road was who was it? Not Texas, not Kansas City. Oh, the Packers. The Packers went into Jerry's world, only team to win on the road, handedly taking down the Dallas Cowboys. Very disappointing, and we'll get into all of that stuff. But first, we're going to start off with our play of the week. This week I got 2, and they actually both came from the same game. So this was originally, like I said, supposed to be Sunday at 1 o'clock in Orchard Park, New York, but there was an unbelievable blizzard that took place there. About 2 feet of snow, 4 feet of snow in some areas around the Buffalo area in Orchard Park. Would not have been able to play a game at Sunday at 1, so they had to play on Monday. And after the Bills got off to a hot start, both tight ends caught a touchdown in the first quarter. The Buffalo Bills' first touchdown from Josh Allen to Dawson Knox, the second one to Dalton Kincaid. First time in the history of the NFL playoffs that a team had both 2 tight ends score in the first quarter. So that's pretty cool. First time that ever happened. So here we are, picking up in the second quarter here, 14-0 Buffalo. It's 3rd and 8 play here for Josh Allen and the Bills. He takes the snap, pressure coming. He's going to take off and run for the first down. He's got the first down easily, and it looks like he's going to decide if he wants to slide or not here. Nope, I'm going to lower my shoulder and truck this guy. Takes off, 52-yard rushing touchdown for Josh Allen to put the Buffalo Bills up 21-0. Snowballs flying in Buffalo. Fans are going absolutely insane. Look at that scene. Great. Every time the Bills did anything great, the snow was going nuts. But look at Allen. Escapes the pressure, rolls up, and he kind of does a little hesitation right there, but then he just barrels right through a defender, takes off, 52-yard touchdown, the second longest touchdown run in the history of the playoffs by a quarterback, and it was the longest touchdown run in the history of the playoffs by any Buffalo Bills player ever. So pretty impressive stuff from Josh Allen. He played unbelievable yesterday on Monday, and that run really just was an exclamation point. But after being up 21-0, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, they do what they do. They claw and fight their way back because they just are never really out of a game. Like, they just always do this stuff. They're not as good talented as most other teams they play, but they're just so scrappy. So they scrap it up, make the game a 7-point ball game, 24-17, after they come back in the second half and make a little bit more things happen. So 1 possession game here in the 4th quarter. They make it a 7-point game with about 7 minutes to go. Bills need to get the ball back and respond. They move the ball all the way inside the red zone to the 17-yard line of the Steelers. 2nd and 9 play here for Josh Allen. 7-point game, just under 7 minutes to go. Finds Khalil Shahir over the middle, who breaks the tackle of Minkah Fitzpatrick, absolutely breaks down another member of the Steelers secondary, and finds his way to the end zone. What an effort play from Khalil Shakir, breaking this tackle from the All-Pro, using his hand to stabilize himself, and then absolutely shaking down another safety towards the goal line. Unreal play. Look at this. barely able to stay up there, keeping the hand down for some balance, and then boop, 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 gone. Touchdown, Bills. That one really put the nail in the coffin. Shakir, huge play there. Unbelievable. That was really the exclamation point. The final of that game, 31-17 after that touchdown. So, huge play, 52-yard rushing touchdown from Josh Allen, longest rushing touchdown in the history of the Bills' playoff history, and second longest run by a quarterback in playoff history. Pretty crazy stuff. And then Khalil Shakir puts the bow on it with the super athletic, staying on his feet, breaking down another defender, go to the end zone. So those are our plays of the week, both coming from the Pittsburgh Steelers-Buffalo Bills game at Orchard Park. And, I mean, that game was pretty fun to watch with all the snow in the stands. That game actually was the first game in the history of the modern era, like the first modern NFL game, that there was no assigned seats. You couldn't buy a specific seat. You just showed up, and because there was 4 feet of snow on every single seat, you just, if you clear it out, go sit there. Sure, go ahead. It was crazy to see people enter that stadium. But now we got our 2 plays of the week out of the way. Let's go into our game of the week. And, I mean, there were 6 games this weekend in Super Wildcard Weekend. 5 of them were, pretty handed victories by the team, the home team, really, and except for the Packers. But, not great games this weekend. One of them, obvious which one it was, ended 24-23. That will be our game of the week. The Lions the Lions hosting Matthew Stafford and the Rams, their quarterback, who was really their franchise star, him and Megatron, for 12 seasons. Goes to the Rams, wins a Super Bowl back in 2020, now coming back to the Lions. First time they're hosting a playoff game since 1991 against their old quarterback. And Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff got traded for each other. So this is a really crazy storyline game. Matthew Stafford goes back to Detroit for the first time, and Goff plays his old team that traded him, where he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams back in 2017-18 when they lost 13-3 to the Patriots and Tom Brady. So this game, highly anticipated matchup, Saturday night. Was it Saturday night? No, Sunday night, between the Rams and the Lions in Detroit. First home playoff game for the Lions since 1991. Here we go. So, Lions get the ball first, and they immediately start going to work. Later on in the drive, the 45-yard line, Goff fakes a handoff, fires one across the middle. Josh Reynolds makes the play. He was active early in this one. They go all the way inside the 35-yard line to just about the 30-yard line of the Rams. A couple plays later, Goff slips one out to the flat. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he picks up the first down. Now, Lions inside of the red zone, making things happen. A couple plays later, 2nd and 3 here. Fakes the pitch, throws again to Josh Reynolds. He makes the catch down inside the 5 to the 2-yard line. 2 plays later, Goff hands to David Montgomery, and he is in for the first score of the game. So the Lions get the ball to open the game up, go right down the field, score an opening touchdown, 7-0 Detroit. Great way to start this game for the Detroit faithful, who were waiting so long for this opportunity. So, first drive of the game for the Rams, 1st and 10 and inside of Detroit territory. Stafford makes an unbelievable no-look throw. I'm not sure if you can tell there, but he looks the defender away. Does one of these underhand no-look throws. Unbelievable stuff there. 2 plays later, 2nd and 4, inside of Detroit territory yet again. Stafford throws one short to the left side to Puka Nacua, who makes a guy miss, and this is just the beginning for Puka Nacua, who had a record-setting day for rookies in a playoff game, in his first ever playoff game. Later in the drive, inside the 10-yard line, 3rd and goal from the Rams. Looking left, the ball's tipped at the line of scrimmage and almost intercepted. So the Rams move it all the way inside the 10-yard line of the Lions, but are unable to capitalize. Brett Maher steps up, nails the field goal, 7-3 Detroit, after both teams get their first drive. And remember, the last time we saw Brett Maher kicking in a playoff game, in a wild card round, was last season for the Dallas Cowboys. He missed 4 consecutive extra points. 4 consecutive extra points. So that's got to be in the back of his mind here. Hits his first kick of the day, making it 7-3. Getting the Rams on the board, still down by 4, 7-3 Detroit. Next, Lions possession. 1st and 20 now. Goff surveying the field. Another shot across the middle. Josh Reynolds yet again had a huge first quarter in this game, making a couple man miss inside the red zone all the way down to the 10-yard line. Lions in business again. Handoff to Jahmyr Gibbs. Gaping hole up the middle. He finds it. Sprints to the end zone. Both running backs for the Lions, both Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, score. First 2 possessions for the Lions. First 2 touchdowns of the game. 14-3. Lions on top. So after Matthew Stafford actually trips over his own foot, that'll bring up a 3rd and 16 here, last play of the first quarter. Stafford drops back, pressure coming, lets one go to the right sideline. Unbelievable catch to Demarcus Robinson, first down for the Rams. On this play, Matthew Stafford was rolling backwards into the pocket and kind of made a throw like this. I'll use the football as an example. He let go of the ball to Demarcus Robinson, perfect throw on the money, but after he let it go, he smacked his hand on the helmet of the defender. I was trying to find a video of this, but they didn't have any good ones. I couldn't find it, but he smoked the top of his hand and like his thumb on it, and he had a big gash like right here. They showed it on the sideline, and his thumb was all messed up. He had a big tape job on his hand, but I mean, we've all seen Matthew Stafford play many times before. This is nothing that will take him out of a football game. He is as tough as it gets in the NFL. But keep going. Obviously, he's not going to come out of this game. Second quarter begins, couple plays later, 3rd and 1. Empty set here. Stafford looking left, throwing deep down the left sideline. He's got Puka Nacua wide open. Makes the catch at the 15-yard line. Makes 2 men miss at the 5, and he's in for the touchdown. 14-10 ball game. Huge strike here from the Lions and Stafford as Stafford sucks it up after hurting his hand. Throws a beautiful pass down the sideline. Puka Nacua scores his first touchdown of his postseason career, making this a 4-point game. 14-10, 50-yard touchdown from Puka. Unbelievable play from the Rams and him. Next, Detroit possession. Need to respond as it's only a 4-point game now. After a nice throw from Goff to Jameson Williams to get them inside of Ram territory, 3rd and 5 here. Jared Goff throws left. Amon-Ra St. Brown makes the catch, makes a man miss, and then jukes out another defender. Unbelievable move from Amon-Ra as he breaks a tackle, sidesteps another man. Next play, Goff out in the flat to Jahmyr Gibbs. Great catch by him as the throw was a little bit in front of him. Makes 2 men miss, breaking tackles all the way inside the red zone, yet again to the 10-yard line. Lions in business again. 3rd and 3, handoff to David Montgomery, but he is stopped a yard shy. And I mean, most normal coaches would be settling for 3 here, making it a touchdown game. Not Dan Campbell. 4th and 1 inside the 5-yard line. He is going for it. He doesn't give a damn. And he's in the shotgun too. Not even going to run the ball. He's throwing it. Goff looks right, pumps a couple times, throws it over the middle. Sam Laporta, touchdown. Lions 21-10. Lions score a touchdown on the first 3 possessions of the game. First time they've ever done this since 2000. Lions, unbelievable stuff there. Gutsy from Dan Campbell. But I mean, really, what else did you expect from this guy? If you've watched the Lions at all this season, you knew he was going for that. And of course, Sam Laporta, breaking records for all tight ends, rookie records, receiving records, unbelievable stuff from him, but secures the touchdown. 21-10, Lions on top. Ensuing possession for the Rams. First play, Stafford looking right, throwing right. Puka Nacua makes the catch across the 40-yard line, makes a couple men miss, and is dragged down at the 45. Great play from Puka. Rams in business yet again. A couple plays later, 1st and 10. Stafford, the right side, Tutu Atwell makes the catch, and he is off to the races. Flips into the end zone. What a throw there from Stafford as he threads the needle, and it doesn't even look like he's hurt at all. That hand looks perfect, throwing lasers all over the field. Touchdown, Tutu Atwell, 21-17 ball game now. Heading into the 2-minute warning here in the first half. And that'll be the way that it stays this first half. So this game started off with a touchdown for the Lions, field goal for the Rams, touchdown for the Lions, touchdown for the Rams, touchdown for the Lions, touchdown for the Rams. So very, very quick. First 6 possessions of this ball game, no punts, all points. 5 touchdowns and a field goal. Very, very exciting opening to this game. Lions end up punting to the Rams, and the Rams kind of just run the ball out. Halftime, 21-17 Detroit. Detroit 30 minutes away for their first playoff victory in 32 years. 32 years, ladies and gentlemen. That's a significant amount of time. Excuse me, look at my next spot in the second half here. Okay, so after the Rams get the ball first to start the second half, they move the ball a little bit. They throw one up, and it's a incomplete pass that could have been a flag, non-called. Lions get the ball back. 3rd and 6 now on their own 24-yard line. Goff finds Amon-Ra St. Brown down the right sideline. Perfect layered throw there from Goff. Makes the first man miss down at the 45-yard line inside of Rams territory. 2 plays later, 2nd and 9. Jared Goff looking to make a play, throws across the middle yet again to Amon-Ra St. Brown to the 30-yard line of the Rams. He's having a day, making huge impacts here early on in the second half. 2 plays later, Goff looking Ernest Jones, the fourth, gets there for the sack, knocking the Rams at the verge of field goal, or the Lions at the verge of field goal range. So that brings up 3rd and 21. Goff, feeling the heat, dips one out into the flat to Sam Laporta, makes the first man miss, only has a gain of 4 or 5. That's going to set up Michael Badgley from 54 yards out, who nails it. So that extends the lead to 7 points there for the Detroit Lions, 24-17 ball game. So ensuing Rams possession, 2nd and 6 inside of the 35-yard line of the Lions. Stafford looking left, now looks right, finds Davis Allen. He's got the first down, makes 2 defenders miss. He's all the way inside the 15 to the 10-yard line of the Lions. 3rd and 12 here. Stafford looking for Cooper Kupp over the middle, finds him, but he is short of the first of the line to get. Tackled at around the 9-8-yard line. That's going to bring up 4th down. But Matthew Stafford is absolutely pounded on this play. Look at the replay. So Stafford throws it across the middle. Hutchinson gets there. Another defender pile drives him to the ground, and then Aiden Hutchinson stomps on his shoulder. No flag. Stafford's looking up into the sky, almost like he's concussed, and then comes out of the game grabbing his side. In a lot of pain, he goes right to the medical tent. But I mean, what was that? How was that not a flag? Let's look at this one more time. Look at this play. Stafford lets go. Bam, boom. Look at his face. Head slams the turf. He's staring blankly at the sky, and he's just like, as he gets stepped on. That should have been a flag. None was thrown. That brings up 4th down. Another Brett Maher field goal. Chip shot this time. This one's up, and it is good, making it a 4-point ball game. But I mean, damn. Unbelievable, no call there. I don't know how. Everything now these days seems to be roughing the passer, and that is the definition of roughing the passer. You got absolutely blown out, body slammed to the ground, and then stepped on. I don't know. Didn't get called. 3rd time this game that the Rams get inside the red zone, and the 3rd time they're going to have to settle for a field goal. That's going to come back to haunt them. So Detroit gets the ball back. 4-point lead. Just over 2 minutes to go in this ball, or in the 3rd quarter, excuse me. Let me get back to my spot. Okay, 3rd and 6 now, next Detroit possession. Rams need to get the ball back as the time is running down in the 3rd quarter. 3rd and 6, Goff is tripped up and he goes down. Rams are going to get the ball back, down by 4 as the 4th quarter begins here. So Rams get the ball back, need to get something happening. 3rd and 6 now in their own territory, just over the 25-yard line, or 3rd and 8, excuse me. Stafford flips one into the flat. Puka Nacua makes a man miss, shoulders his way through 2 defenders, and picks up the first down. Puka Nacua showed an unbelievable amount of grit and toughness in this game. He was the best player on this Rams team by far. 2nd and 9 now, a couple plays later. Stafford across the middle, this time finds DeMarcus Robinson. Strong catch there. Another first down for the Rams, making things happen. Getting to midfield inside of Detroit territory, 2nd and 4, Kyren Williams tries the left side. He finds an opening, stiff arms a man down inside the 35-yard line. Next play for the Rams. 1st and 10 at 35. Stafford fakes the handoff, looks left, fires one across the middle, and what a throw this one is to Puka Nacua. Absolutely threading the needle with a laser beam, finding him. First down Rams all the way inside the 20-yard line, setting up 1st and 10. 2 plays later, 3rd and 10, Stafford looking to the left side of the end zone and cannot find Cooper Kupp. So yet again, missing out on an opportunity inside the red zone, leading to another field goal. So 24-23 now, as that was the 3rd time that the Rams get inside the red zone and fail to score a touchdown. So 3 times in the red zone for the Rams, 3 field goals. And already in this game, the Lions had been in the red zone 3 times, 3 touchdowns for them. So that makes a huge difference in this game, obviously. So, with about 5.5 minutes left to go in this ball game, the Rams need the ball back desperately, down by 1 point. 3rd and 4 here for the Lions at their own 31-yard line. 7.5 minutes to go. Stafford. Goff looks right, throws right, but cannot link up with Josh Reynolds. Incomplete pass. They have to give the ball back to the Rams. Stafford No look pass to Nakua over the middle, makes the first man miss, off to the races yet again, all the way to about 45-yard line, almost to midfield. Puka Nakua just set the all-time rookie receiving record in the playoffs. 9 receptions, 181 yards in that touchdown 50-yarder from the first half. Unbelievable day from Puka Nakua. 9 for 181. Unbelievable. Rams driving now. Need to make a play. On 3rd and 4, they pick up a holding call. They didn't pick up the first down anyway, but a holding call, pushing it back to 3rd and 14. So 3rd and 14 with 4:17 left to go on the clock. Rams need to keep their drive alive or risk giving it back to the Lions with a chance for them to run the clock out. So 3rd and 14, 4:20 left to go in the ball game. Stafford, avoiding the pressure, throws right. Puka Nakua just off the top of his hands. And the replay of this shows that there was definitely an arm around the waist of Puka Nakua, maybe impacting how high he was able to jump for that ball, but nevertheless, just off of his outstretched arms, falls to the ground incomplete. Rams elect to punt, giving the ball back to the Lions with just over 2 minutes to go in this ball game. So 2nd and 7, 3:25 left to go. Goff out into the flat. Dave Montgomery makes a man miss and picks up a first down. So now you'll get the clock under 3 minutes to go here. 1 first down, and this game is over for the Lions. Their first playoff win in 32 years is so close. So the 2-minute warning comes around, and I'm sitting there with my friends talking about it. I'm like, okay, so it's 2nd and 9 here. If they run the ball, don't get it, they call their last timeout, and then after that, if they get the ball back, they punt it, I don't know, about 50 seconds left for Stafford on the best case scenario. But, of course, I didn't take into consideration the Dan Campbell aspect of all this. The Lions come out on 2nd and 9 after the 2-minute warning and look to throw. Goff steps back, fires one left. Amon-Ra St. Brown makes the catch. First down Lions. This game is over. The Detroit Lions, all they got to do is take a couple knees. Goff takes the last one on 3rd and 12. The clock runs out. The Detroit Lions win a playoff game for the first time in 32 years, beating their old quarterback Matt Stafford as he comes back to town. Unbelievable storyline that was. Unbelievable game that was. That was the game of Wild Card Weekend. The Lions snapped the longest drought in the history of the NFL playoffs with a win to end the streak of 32 years. First win for the Lions since 1991. Unbelievable scenes from Detroit, and I mean, really good for that franchise. But now that the Lions have their win out of the way, the team that has not won a playoff game in the longest streak is now the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins haven't won a playoff game since 2000. But you want to know the team who's in second now? My Raiders. The last time the Raiders won a playoff game was the 2002 AFC Championship game against the Tennessee Titans. And since then, not a single playoff win. So now that the Lions, 32 years since the playoff win, now it's Miami and then the Raiders. Unfortunate. But the Detroit Lions end their streak, 24-23 the final. They send Matt Stafford home and into the offseason unhappy. What a game, what a storyline that was, and what a wild card weekend it was. So now we're going to go into the wild card round update. I guess we'll call it the super wild card rundown. And we'll start off with the first game, which was between the Houston Texans and the Cleveland Browns. So we'll start with the losing team here. The Cleveland Browns, they lost this game. It was 45-14. This game started off kind of like a defensive battle. Both teams couldn't get anything going on their first couple drives, but then C.J. Stroud and that offense woke up. They went right down the field. C.J. made an unbelievable throw deep down the field to Nico Collins off his back foot. Nico Collins made a great adjustment to turn over his shoulder and make the catch. That led to the first touchdown. And then after that, the teams kind of went at each other for a little bit. I think it was 14-14, or maybe it was 14-7, but it was back and forth for a little bit. And then the Texans went absolutely nuts. Brevin Jordan had that crazy long touchdown where it literally was like a throw to the flat, and he just took it up the field for the longest touchdown ever by a tight end in playoff history. Unbelievable stuff that was, but they just ran away with this early. The Browns, their season was over. They finished 11-6 on the year, losing the first round of the playoffs. Kareem Hunt just became the third Browns player ever with a rush touchdown and a receiving touchdown in a postseason game, joining Leroy Kelly back in 1968 and Ernest Biner back in 1989. But the Browns were unable to come up with the victory, losing to the Houston Texans. Speaking of the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud just had a day in his playoff debut, an absolute day. So here's the list of... Actually, let me hold this one off. you'll see why. C.J. Stroud had 236 passing yards in the first half of this game. Rookie postseason record for the first half. He had 3 touchdown passes in the first half. That ties the rookie record for a game. So he tied the record for the game in a half. He didn't get any more in the game, so he didn't break it, but he tied it in the first half. Unreal stuff. He's the youngest starting quarterback to win a playoff game since 1950. He finished 16 for 21, 274 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And QBs in the NFL, in the history of the NFL, to lead the NFL in passing yards per game and touchdown to pick ratio in a single season, I'll tell you right now, there's only been 3 in the history of the league to lead the league in passing yards per game and touchdown interception ratio in a single season. Joe Montana did it in 1989. Oh yeah, he won the Super Bowl that year. Tom Brady did it in 2007. Oh yeah, he won MVP that year. That was the year the Patriots went 15 or 16-0, 17-0, 18-0, and then lost in the Super Bowl to the Giants. And C.J. Stroud this year. So that's unreal company for C.J. Stroud. Crazy stuff. Like I said, Brevin Jordan had that 76-yard receiving touchdown that really, really got them going. That got them cooking. Second longest touchdown by a tight end in postseason history behind Shannon Sharp. He had a 96-yard touchdown for Baltimore back in 2000. Sorry, Unc, forgot about you there. Brevin Jordan did not break your record. He's in second. And Christian Harris became the first player ever with a pick 6 and a sack in a postseason game since J.J. Watt 2011, back when he was with the Texans too. So the last 2 times that a player had a pick 6 and a sack in a postseason game, both Houston Texans. Pretty impressive stuff. And, I mean, that was just a fun game to watch. If I was a Texans fan right now, I would be so hyped. That was an unbelievable game. C.J. Stroud has been unreal this year. Arguably the greatest season in the history of the sport by a rookie. So, that night, we move on to the Miami Dolphin Kansas City Chiefs game. This game actually ended up being the 4th coldest game in the history of the NFL. -4 degrees at kickoff. It was like -27-degree wind chill. 4th coldest game of all time. But the Miami Dolphins offense, I mean, they're from Miami. You could have guessed this. They didn't really wake up at all. It's 26-7 loss. The only thing that really happened for them was a 53-yard touchdown by Tyreek. But that was literally all they had. It was not a very good day by Tua. Honestly, Mike McDaniel didn't have the greatest play calls in this one. It was just a lackluster day by the Miami Dolphins and not a very fun to watch. Tyreek scored his 29th touchdown of 50 or more yards. That's tied for the 4th most in the history of the NFL. That's pretty crazy. Tyreek Hill just runs by people, but unable to do anything in this game. The scheme wasn't great. L'Jarius Sneed kind of locked him up all day. You saw that highlight where he jammed him to the ground off the line. But the Miami Dolphins fall 26-7 and fail to win any games this year against a team with a winning record. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the 4th coldest game in NFL history. Patrick Mahomes, his helmet broke on one of those plays where he made a nice scramble down inside the 5-yard line. He was trying to fight for some extra yards, maybe a touchdown, and his helmet popped off. I've never seen anything like that before. But how about this? They let him play the next play, but they're like, wait a minute, this guy's helmet's all messed up. And they stop the game clock, stop the play clock and the game clock, and they have the trainers come on the field. Yeah, just give him a new helmet. That's not allowed. Sure, maybe he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Everyone loves him. Sure, whatever. But, I mean, you're either going to have to call a timeout there, the Chiefs, or you're going to have to put in the backup quarterback. You can't just stop the clock and be like, yeah, Pat, you're good, bro. Get your helmet. Yeah, okay, now we're good. No, that's not how the NFL works. But, I mean, he continues to get special treatment. We'll see what happens next week. He has to go to Orchard Park this time to go play Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Get to them in a little bit. Move on to Sunday's action. So Sunday, obviously the next game was supposed to be the Buffalo Bills and the Steelers. That did not happen. The first game on Sunday ended up being Dallas and Green Bay. In Jerry's World in Arlington, that game did not go well for the Dallas Cowboys. They lost to the Green Bay Packers 48-32, then the most points ever allowed by the Cowboys in a playoff game. And the Cowboys, since 2021, they have 36 wins in that span. 36 wins since 2021. That's the most in NFL history over a 3-year span without a championship appearance. So, not even a Super Bowl, a championship appearance. They didn't even get to the NFC Championship game. 36 wins in a 3-game span, the most ever without making it to the conference championship. That's stunning. And now, so the most consecutive playoff appearances without reaching the conference championship game is now the Dallas Cowboys with 13 consecutive seasons from 1996 to 2023. So 13 playoff appearances since 1996 without making the conference championship game. Is the most in the history of the NFL. Second was the Miami Dolphins. That's still active one, 1994 to now. So if the Cowboys make it, the Dolphins have a chance to extend that. But the third longest one was the Chiefs, 10, 1994, 2017. And the last 3 times the Cowboys were favored by at least 7 points in the playoffs, they lost all 3 of them outright. All 3. So the last 3 times, the first time was 1998. They were favored in the wild card to Detroit by 7 points. They lost 20-7. 2007, they were favored by 7.5 to the Cowboys, or to the Giants, excuse me. They lost 21-17, and the Giants won the Super Bowl. And then 2023, they were just favored by 7.5 again to the Packers, and they lost 48-32. Most points they've ever given up in a playoff game. I mean, Mike McCarthy, his job is up in the air. Dak, who knows? Jerry Jones is probably going to make some crazy decision, even though Mike McCarthy's coming off of what? Was it 3 straight 12-win seasons, right? 5 straight winning seasons, but 3 straight 12-win seasons, and he might get fired. Crazy. It was the first time the Cowboys lost at home in 16 games. The last time they lost a game at home was week 1, 2 years ago, and in the first half of this ballgame, Dak had 0 passing yards. 0. He had no passing yards in the first quarter of this game, but he had a pick. So 1 pick, 0 completions, no passing yards. Not a good way to start this game, and it really just continued until, the fourth quarter where they scored 2 garbage time touchdowns to make it a kind of respectable score, but it was 48-16 at one point. Jordan Love just absolutely ran through their defense, and it wasn't close. It was crazy. And now moving on to the Packers, they beat Dallas 48-32. The youngest team to make the playoffs since the 1974 Buffalo Bills, this Green Bay Packers team. Their average age is 25 years old and 214 days. Youngest team since the 1974 Bills to be in the playoffs, and they smacked the Dallas Cowboys, the 2 seed. The first ever 7 seed to beat a 2 seed in the NFL playoffs. It's only been around for 3 years, but the first time it's ever happened, of course, it's against the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. 48 points ties their most ever scored by the Packers in a postseason game. And ever since Jerry World is built, the Packers are 6-0 there, including back in 2010 when Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl. That was in Jerry's World. So they're 6-0 all time playing in Jerry's World, including a Super Bowl victory. Jordan Love went 16 for 20 with 272 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. And if that sounds familiar, it does. It should. Because Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud, both making their playoff debuts, had a nearly identical stat line. They both had 16 completions. C.J. Stroud went 16 for 21. Jordan Love went 16 for 20. They both had over 270 passing yards. C.J. Stroud had 274. Jordan Love had 272. And they both had 3 touchdowns and no picks. Almost an identical stat line. Jordan Love, second Packers QB to win his first playoff game since 1950. Lynn Dickey and Brett Favre are the only rookie QBs in Packers history to lead them to a playoff, and he joins them. So, like I said, Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud just made their playoff debuts. And they both had 16 completions. One of them went 16 for 21. Other one went 16 for 20. One of them had 274 passing yards. That was Stroud. Love had 272. And they each had 3 touchdowns and no picks. So almost identical stat lines. And listen to this. So in the history of the NFL, these are the best passer rating games. Best games in NFL history by quarterback by passer rating, right? Number 1, the only ever time that a perfect passer rating happened in the playoffs was 2003 wildcard versus Denver. Peyton Manning did it. 158.3 perfect passer rating in the wildcard game in 2003. Josh Allen, 2 years ago in the wildcard against New England when they had that perfect game, every single time they got the ball, they scored a touchdown. He had a 157.6 passer rating, probably had 2 incompletions. C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love this past weekend. C.J. Stroud on Saturday, versus Cleveland, the best defense in the NFL, mind you, in the regular season. And Jordan Love Sunday against Dallas. They both had a 157.2 passer rating, tied for the 3rd best passer rating in the history of an NFL playoff game in their first career starts. Unreal stuff from Jordan Love and C.J. Stroud. These not rookies. I guess C.J. Stroud is a rookie, Jordan Love's not. But I mean, in their first playoff game, absolutely taking the NFL by storm. Unbelievable performances by both of them, almost identical, and they both have a 157.2 passer rating in their first playoff game, tied for the 3rd best performance in the history of the playoffs by a quarterback by passer rating. And Jordan Love had a perfect passer rating in this game. They took him out. He was done with 7-8 minutes left to go in this ball game, but then the defense kind of just let Dallas score twice, so they put him back in. He made 1 throw. It was right on the money. His tight end dropped it, and it took him out of a perfect passer rating. So he should have been the second player ever to have a perfect passer rating, and it would have been in his first ever playoff start. So Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, unbelievable this weekend. Both 157.2, tied for the third best passer rating in the history of the NFL playoffs. And how about Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones should change his name to the Cowboys' dad. It's unbelievable. He had 3 touchdowns on Sunday against the Cowboys, tied for the most in any game in Packers playoff history. And so now, Aaron Jones has played 4 career games against the Dallas Cowboys. In those 4 games, 9 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns in 4 games against the Cowboys. That's unbelievable. And in his 4 games, he's got the most rush yards per game against Dallas with a minimum of 3 games played. In those 4 games, he averages 123 rush yards per game. So 123 rush yards per game and 9 touchdowns in 4 games. Best rush yards against the Dallas and a minimum of 3 games played. Number 2 is the legend Barry Sanders with 119 and another Hall of Famer, Walter Payton, with 115. So pretty elite exclusive company there for Aaron Jones, and he tops the list. Romeo Doubs had 6 receptions for 151 yards, most in a playoff debut by a Packers player in franchise history. And they're going to play the 49ers, making it the 10th meeting between these 2 franchises in the playoffs. That's the most in NFL history. Pretty crazy stuff. Passing the Packers and the Cowboys. That just happened. Talked about that last week. So, next week, Cowboys will play, or not the Cowboys, excuse me. The Packers will play the Niners. The Cowboys got absolutely smoked. Moving on to the night game. That was our game of the week. The Los Angeles Rams came up just short. They lost 24-23 in the second postseason game where 3 rookies scored a touchdown in the first half. The last one was the 1957 NFL Championship game, and oddly enough, the Lions won that game. So, second game ever where 3 rookies scored a touchdown in the first half, and it's also the Lions. The Rams went 0 for 3 in the red zone, had to settle for 3 field goals, while the Lions went 3 for 3. That definitely had a big impact in this game as they lost by 1. Kyren Williams became the first player in the history of the NFL to finish in the top 3 in rushing yards, but he missed 5 or more games. He had 1,144 rushing yards, third in the NFL, but he missed 5 games. Very impressive. Puka Nacua had 5 receptions for 106 yards and a touchdown in the first half versus the Lions. That's the second most by a rookie in the first half of a postseason game. Keith Jackson has the record 113 in 1988, and Puka finished this game with 9 receptions for 181 yards and a touchdown. Like I said earlier, that's the most yards by a rookie in a single postseason game in NFL history. So Puka Nacua has so many rookie records already during one season, and he did not slow down at all in his one and only playoff game. Next year, hopefully he'll be back, but, they were not able to come back and beat the Lions, giving them their first playoff win in 32 years. Speaking of those Detroit Lions, they won 24-23, first postseason win since 1991, snaps the longest streak in NFL history, 9 consecutive losses in the playoffs. So let's talk about that streak. Most consecutive playoff losses, the Lions had the record since 1991, 9 consecutive games. They finally snapped that. The second longest streak is 8 games by the Cincinnati Bengals. That went from 1990 to 2015. And the Chiefs have the third longest. It was 8 games, also 1993 to 2013. And this was the first meeting in the playoffs between these 2 teams, the Rams and the Lions, in 71 years. The longest drought in NFL history. And like I said before, the Lions went 3 for 3 in the red zone, and it was in their first 3 possessions, while the Rams went 0 for 3, settling for 3 field goals. That definitely had a big impact on this game. Like I said, for the Rams, the second postseason game ever where 3 rookies scored a touchdown in the first half. And the last 3 NFC Championship game appearances, so the longest drought in between, the Lions and the Commanders both haven't made the NFC Championship game since 1991. And then next is the Cowboys in 95. It's crazy to think about. They scored 21 points in the first half. Second most points ever scored in a playoff game by the Lions. 31 in that aforementioned 1957 NFL Championship game. And this is the first time in franchise history the Detroit Lions will host 2 playoff games in the same postseason. So get ready, Detroit. Coming back next week as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming to town. Get ready for that one. Going to be an unbelievable atmosphere as this one was too. The hype up video by Eminem was so awesome. I'm not a Lions fan. I'm not from Detroit. I'm a Raiders fan, obviously. That video got me hyped. I was ready to go. And like I said, they're going to play the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Divisional Round. This will be the second playoff meeting ever between the Bucks and the Lions. The last time they played, Tampa Bay won the 1997 wildcard game 20-10. So moving on to Monday now. The Pittsburgh Steelers traveled to Buffalo, losing to the Buffalo Bills 31-17, making it the 5th straight playoff loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's the longest in franchise history. Mike Tomlin, sure, he has never had a losing season in his career. He's always very, very consistent, but 5 straight playoff losses in a row is going to raise some questions, open some eyebrows, maybe cause a little bit of discussion for the coaching situation in Pittsburgh. I don't think that should be a thing. I think Mike Tomlin is an unbelievable coach, but inevitably that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen with Dallas too. The Buffalo Bills, they played a great game, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 31-17. Josh Allen had a great game. He went 21 for 30, 203 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had 74 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. And he had the longest rush of his postseason career, 52-yard touchdown. And in his postseason career, he's got 25 total touchdowns. That would be the most in Bills history. And in Bills playoff history as well, the most games that a quarterback has 3 or more passing touchdowns, Josh Allen with 4, just past Jim Kelly, who had 3 in his career. Frank Reich had 1. So Josh Allen, most total touchdowns in Bills history in the playoffs, and most games with 3 or more touchdown passes. And here's one that's even crazier. So the most games in NFL history, regular and postseason, with 3+ passing touchdowns and 1 or more rushing touchdown. Obviously, the guy who's in first, because why wouldn't it be? Tom Brady, 10 games in his career, regular and postseason, with 3 or more passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. Tom Brady had 10. And then tied for second, Josh Allen and Drew Brees with 9. So Josh Allen's probably going to break that record and become the quarterback with the most 3+ passing touchdown and 1+ rushing touchdown games in NFL history. But Tom Brady really just has that because of longevity, because he didn't really run. NFL record for Josh Allen, 4 straight seasons with 40+ total touchdowns. And he's the only player in postseason history with 250 pass yards per game and 50 rushing yards per game. Minimum of 4 games played. So he averages 250 or more passing yards, and he averages 50 or more rushing yards. No one else in NFL history in the postseason has ever done that. And he's got the most games in NFL playoff history with 200 passing yards and 50 rushing yards. Josh Allen's got 6. That's the most ever. Mahomes and Kaepernick have 3, tied for second. So Josh Allen setting a lot of playoff records this week. Craziest stuff. And on top of it, second longest touchdown run by a quarterback in playoff history. Longest rushing touchdown by a Bills player in franchise history in the playoffs. Unbelievable stuff. And only 2 quarterbacks have 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in a game versus the Steelers in the playoffs over the last 20 years. Josh Allen, yesterday, and Tim Tebow when he beat them in overtime. That crazy play with Demaryius Thomas. They just became the only team. Whoa, a little bug going on here. Who's that? They just became the only team in playoff history to have 2 tight ends score a touchdown in the first quarter. Dawson Knox caught touchdown number 1. Dalton Kincaid caught number 2. And Dawson Knox, that was his 6th career playoff receiving touchdown, tied for the second most in Bills history. I assume he's behind Andre Reed. And the Bills, 6-game winning streak. They haven't lost since December 10th. And they have the longest win streak in the NFL. I mean, they're the hottest team in the NFL. 14-2 at home in the playoffs since the 1970 merger. That's the best in the NFL. And now, like I said earlier, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to go to Orchard Park this time to go play Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, as it seems like all of their matchups have been in Arrowhead so far. But now, finally, Mahomes is going to have to play his first road playoff game of his career, travel to Buffalo, and play the Buffalo Bills. That'll be an interesting game. This is the 4th consecutive divisional round appearance for the Bills. And I'm very interested to see how this game is going to go between the Bills and the Chiefs next week. And the last game of Wild Card Weekend ended Monday night on ESPN between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Philadelphia Eagles fell to the Buccaneers 32-9, the second largest playoff loss in franchise history for the Eagles. They allowed 157 yards after contact, tied for the most in a playoff game since 2018, and that's their most that they've given up in a playoff game since they began tracking yards after contact back in 2009. So not a great game for the Eagles defense. Tackling was very, very poor throughout the entire game. They lost 6 of their last 7 after starting the season 10-1. Third team ever to lose the wild card after starting 10-1 or better. And the only teams that have ever done this to lose in the wild card after starting 10-1 or better, this year's Eagles, 2023 Eagles, the 2020 Steelers, who actually started 11-0, and the 2019 Patriots. the Eagles just went on an unbelievable downward spiral since week 13. These are their stats, including this wildcard game. Winning percentage, 143. That's 31st in the NFL. And if you didn't know, there's 32 teams, so second to last. The opponent points per game, 30.6 since week 13. That's also 31st in the league. Their points per game margin is negative 11.7, also 31st. And their turnover margin was negative 8, dead last, 32nd in the league. And they went 0 for 9 on third down last night. They just looked unbelievably bad. They have been for the last almost month and a half now, and they looked like a shell of themselves ever since week 13. Unbelievable downward spiral, one of the biggest downward spirals I've ever seen in the history of the NFL. Going back to week 11, week 12, I was like, oh, this team would probably make the Super Bowl again. They look like the best team in the NFL at that point, them or the Niners. But I mean, damn, what a fall off. Crazy. And they're done after 1 week. Jason Kelce's going to retire, one of the best centers of all time. Sad to see the way that his career ended. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to come back on top, beating the Philadelphia Eagles 32-9. Baker and the Bucs D dominated. Last 2 playoff wins for the Bucs have been against the Eagles. Baker just became the first quarterback in Bucs franchise history to throw for 300 or more yards and 3 touchdowns in a playoff game. Pretty crazy stuff because Tom Brady was there and he won the Super Bowl there. Baker just joined a very short list of 4 quarterbacks to have 3 passing touchdowns and no picks in a playoff game for multiple teams. Baker for Cleveland and Tampa Bay. Tom Brady, obviously, for New England and Tampa Bay. Alex Smith for San Francisco and Kansas City. And then Brett Favre for Green Bay and Minnesota. So pretty elite group there. Baker has had 8 different coaches in his 6 years in the NFL. That is the most for any QB in any 6-year span ever. Pretty impressive stuff. He just has a new coach every month, it seems like, and he just keeps trudging through, figuring it out, and doing what he's doing. He becomes the 4th number 1 overall pick to win a playoff game for multiple teams. Baker Mayfield really showed his grit, toughness, and just balls this weekend. Mike Evans, his franchise receiving records are nuts. He's got 760 receptions, 11,680 yards, and 94 touchdowns. Those are all first in franchise history, and no one's even close. Like, not even a little close. Like, the receptions is like half, the receiving yards is like half, and everything's half. It's nuts. The most sacks by rookies this year. Number 1, Kobe Turner. He played for the Rams. Byron Young also played for the Rams. Yaya Diaby, Tampa Bay Buck. 3rd most sacks this season by rookie. And all 3 of these players were drafted in the 3rd round this year. And this season. So the Eagles made this game, I think it was 16-10 or 16-9. They scored, make it 16-9. And the Bucs jumped off sides on the extra point. So obviously they go to the ball, move the ball to the 1-yard line. The Eagles are like, all right, we're going to go for 2 because we have the tush push. And yeah, why not? Get stuffed. The Bucs stopped the tush push for the 2nd time this year. They've stopped it twice this year. Every other NFL team besides the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has done it just once. So that's pretty impressive. The most unstoppable play in the league has been stopped twice by the Bucs now and once by every other team in the league. Crazy. But the Bucs had 6 drops in this game. Majority of them by Cade Otton. Mike Evans had 1, maybe 2. That's the most in a playoff game since 2006. So that's something they can clean up, even though they won handedly. And the Bucs have the 2nd most playoff wins in the NFL behind the Chiefs since 2020 because of that Super Bowl victory. But I mean, I believe it was 5 playoff wins or 6 playoff wins for them since 2020. And they're going to play Detroit in the divisional round. So that's going to wrap up the matchups that happened this week. Very, very, kind of a lot. 5 out of the 6 games were more than 1 possession. The only close game we had was between the Rams and the Lions, our game of the week, 24-23, as the Lions secured their first playoff victory in 32 years. So that's going to do it for us on the standings update. We'll jump into our predictions now. Not it for us on the show. We're going to go to one more segment here, and we're going to do our divisional round predictions. So, Saturday, both the 1 seeds are playing. I can't remember which order they're playing, but I believe the first game is on ESPN. It's Houston versus Baltimore in Baltimore. C.J. Stroud's going to go take his young Houston Texans team to Baltimore to go play the number 1 seed in the NFL. Not even the AFC, the best record in football. Lamar Jackson is probably going to be the MVP of the league. And the Ravens have been so good. They've been so dominant so far. They played the Cowboys, They played the Niners, they killed them. They played the Dolphins, they killed them. And they just really steamrolled everyone. I have no idea what is making me think this, but I have a feeling that the Texans are going to go into Baltimore. They're going to win that game. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's going to be the divisional round now. Lamar and the Ravens, they didn't play this week, all their starters. And then the last week, the regular season against the Steelers, none of them played too. So, I mean, maybe Lamar hasn't played in 3 weeks. So by the time they play next week, it'll be a month. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a little bit of rust there. And I feel like CJ is just going to come out firing. I don't know, man. For some reason, I just want to take... I'm taking him. I'm doing it. I'm taking CJ Stroud and the Texans in Baltimore to take down the number 1 seed in the NFL. I don't know why. But if they don't, the Ravens are going to make the Super Bowl, and if the Ravens play the 49ers in the Super Bowl, the NFL is scripted. But I'm taking the Houston Texans because it's not. It's not scripted. And I have belief in CJ Stroud and that Texans offense. Saturday night is going to be the NFC, That'll be the Green Bay Packers going to Santa Clara to play the San Francisco 49ers. Jordan Love and that Packers offense just shredded the Cowboys. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that again, but I think it's going to be a closer game than people think. But I think I'm going to take the Niners. I think they're going to be okay. That defense is very good. I think they're going to be able to do enough on offense. Like, who's going to stop Debo, McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk? I don't know who's going to do that on the Packers. So I think this could be a good game because I think Jordan Love's legit, and I think they could keep themselves in it. But I think the Niners are just too well-rounded. So I'm going to take the Texans and the Niners on Saturday. And then on Sunday, in my opinion, the more intriguing matchups, unless the Texans win. But I think Sunday is going to be very, very intriguing. The first game will be between the Detroit Lions and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In Detroit, first time ever, Detroit will be hosting 2 playoff games in the same postseason. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere like it was this Sunday night. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really see Tampa Bay going in and beating Detroit. I think Detroit's more well-rounded than Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's been kind of a wishy-washy team. They're all about momentum, which is interesting because they're really hot right now. They started the year off 3-1, I believe, right? And in the middle of the season, they went bad. But then, after like week 12, they kind of went on a really good streak. And they've won 5 of 6? So I could see them coming in hot. But again, I don't really see it, I'll be honest. And I'm going to take the Detroit Lions at home, going to the NFC Championship game for the first time since 1957. That will be a scene if that does happen. So I'm going with the Lions. I didn't take them in the wild card round. I was wrong. Oh, let's talk about that actually real quick. I did not do very good in the wild card round. I took the Browns. I did take the Chiefs, so I was 1 for 2 on Saturday. On Sunday, I took Dallas, who got absolutely hammered, and I took the Rams, so I went 0 for 2. I was 1 for 4. And then I took Buffalo, and who did I take for that? Did I take the Eagles? I don't even know, to be honest. I don't think I did. But so I went 3 for 6 last week. Let's see if I can do a little bit better than 50% now. So moving into that last game, who is it going to be? Bills Chiefs. First time they're playing in the playoffs at Orchard Park, and I'm going to take the hottest team in the NFL right now, the Buffalo Bills. So after going 50% last week, 3 for 6, this week I'm going with the Houston Texans to take down the 1-seeded Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore on Saturday at 4:30. Saturday, the night game, I am taking the 49ers to take care of the Green Bay Packers. Sunday, I'm taking Detroit to win their second consecutive home game, moving on to the NFC Championship game. And then I'm taking the Buffalo Bills to take down the Kansas City Chiefs finally in the playoffs. So there you have it. Predictions for the divisional round. Hope you enjoyed this week of the Bobby Valentine Sports Show. Super Wildcard Weekend has wrapped up. Next week, the divisional round will be coming to you after that one. Very excited for this week of the playoffs. Bunch of great matchups. Saturday and Sunday should be great. Can't wait to get those games coming our way. And actually, Bobby Valentine Sports Show has made its ground on Spotify. So go over to Spotify, look us up over there, subscribe to us or follow us on Spotify. Make sure you listen to us on there. Follow us on @ByValentine Sports Show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Hit up the Spotify, go over there, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that stuff. And if you have any questions about the Bobby Valentine Sports Academy, hit up the bvacademy.com for anything you may need, birthday parties, clinics, lessons, anything you would want. That's going to do it here for us. Super Wildcard Weekend, episode 35, I believe. That'll do it for us here. We'll see you next week for the divisional round. And once again, I'm going with Houston, 49ers, Detroit, and Buffalo. We'll see how I do this week after a 50%er in Wildcard Weekend. Peace out. See you next week, divisional round. Home now.